Hey, and welcome back to the Marketer of the Day podcast. We are here with Robert Glazer from accelerationpartners.com. And the thing about Robert Glazer is that he is the founder and chairman of Acceleration Partners, which is the world's leadership partnership marketing agency, the world's leading partnership marketing agency. And he's the CEO of Acceleration Partners. He has a best-selling new book, Moving to Outcomes: Why Partnerships Are the Future of Marketing. So we're going to be hearing today about the triopoly, about partnership marketing, about the present, about the future of it. So Robert, glad to be talking to you.
Thanks for having me.
I'm super glad to have you. So when I hear this term partnership marketing, a bunch of things float around in my head, right? I think about like business partners. I think about doing things like joint ventures. And so just to make sure we're all on the same page, partnership marketing, what the heck is it? Why should we care about it?
Those are both good questions. The way we view partnership marketing today is sort of an evolution of affiliate marketing meets the digitization of business development. And I think, for as you said, there was this channel affiliate marketing, which had this great software to do partnerships at scale, and it had a certain model forever. And then there were people across the company doing all sorts of other partnerships that were very manual. Maybe I give you a coupon code and then I track it, and then I send you a spreadsheet, and then you send me a bill, and then I send you a check. And the evolution of this software and from affiliate networks towards software that you could license and bring in-house has expanded this definition of partner marketing programs to be able to build and manage relationship-oriented, outcome-oriented programs with software at scale. And that, to me, is this new greater umbrella of partnership marketing.
And to kind of help us understand this, can you tell us a story about this technique in action? Because some of the numbers and the scale and things you talk about on your website like blow me away. So do you have a fun case study success story about how you made this work?
Yeah, I mean, we have look, a lot of people don't realize there are a lot of brands out there with thousands or tens of thousands of partners, who are all tracked on a piece of software and do things on an outcome basis. So we've done stuff across the board, from helping a sneaker company like Adidas or Reebok to find all these sneakerheads and stuff running blogs and connect to them on a performance basis when they are recommending their shoes, to cryptocurrency companies working with folks who are talking about crypto and crypto advocates and driving people to open new accounts. Really, anyone can be a publisher. Think about any podcaster who, you have me on, and then you say, hey, here's his book, and you link to it on Amazon. And, you could be part of that Amazon affiliate program and get whatever they're paying these days, maybe 5%, if you buy the book. So it's really this whole world of connecting. And what's really different than, we'll talk about triopoly or a lot of the other marketing, is that that's all you're paying for inputs. In this world, you're paying for outcomes. I decide what a fair price is, and I pay that price after I've gotten the outcome or revenue or lead that I was looking for. It's not an upstream click or impression or view or anything like that.
And so you mentioned this term of the triopoly. So what the heck is that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like 60-something% today of all digital marketing is spent on Amazon, Google, or Facebook, right? And so all of that is in an auction. And we know that auctions tend to favor the sellers, not the buyers. So you've had a lot of fast-growing companies, a lot of liquidity, right? This Fed liquidity moves into the funding market, moves into the fundraising and the digital marketing market, and you take a ton of liquidity in market, and what happens? Prices rise. So, it's not any other day of the week that I talk to a CEO or an e-com or marketing head who's like, look, this stuff barely makes money for me anymore. The stuff that worked 4 or 5 years ago, the prices have risen so dramatically in the auction that it's just not profitable for me anymore. And they are desperately looking to diversify from the few stocks that they had it's kind of like Tesla, Apple, and Netflix drove your portfolio for 10 years, and then suddenly it's not right, and you need to find some new stocks that are probably going to drive the return for the next 10 years.
And I mean, it seems like it took me so long just to get my head wrapped around that, especially with all this like internet and business stuff. It's always a sinking ship, right? Like you finally get something dialed in as far as traffic or a technique that's working for you, or these affiliates to find, and you're finally comfortable after 2 or 3 years of finally making it work. You're comfortable, but then that won't last, right? There'll be some other social platform or some other traffic source that'll add rules.
Yeah. Don't think of it sinking. It's just, look, this has been going on forever, right? I say, like, if it's a game of baseball, like, the early benefits go to the people who figure it out in the first, second, or third inning. Then everyone starts crowding in the fourth and fifth inning. And by the sixth, seventh, and eighth inning, it's too late to make money. And this cycle has been going on forever. I think what's different these days is the speed of it, the digitization of it, the real-time bidding of it. Like, it just it's really hard in a world where it's just about, swiping your card and putting money in the slot machine to stay ahead that long, because there's always, again, in the funding market we've been in, and maybe there's always a new money person coming in who's willing to start throwing down money and keep the prices, high. And this has been going on for a while now. So I think this has always been the game. I think what's moved from, decades to years to months to weeks in some cases is the problem and the solution, right? If it's just a fully liquid biddable market, right, then it's going to develop efficiency point faster. If it's a collection of proprietary partnerships and relationships and things that you're doing that you can't just, it's kind of like SEO, right? You can go to your PPC firm and say, I want to double the money and double the output tomorrow. And they turn up the slot machine, it starts pouring in. You can't do that with SEO, right? You have to invest for probably 5 or 10 months to reap the rewards. I don't know. There's something karmic about you get more rewards when it takes longer to, sort of invest and reap your harvest. But that is very similar to partnerships. It is not an overnight thing. You can't just pour money into it, and I think the nice thing is you actually can build up a defensible aspect to your business.
Well, yeah, and it seems like the whole idea of a partnership, it's evergreen, and the techniques change, and all these different kind of fads come and go, but those relationships that you build over time, those will always be there. And what I like about kind of that idea as well is that there's so many people out there that are not willing to put in the work, right? There are a lot of people out there that they don't understand that you might be on this podcast now, or sending that cold email now, or doing this meeting now, but it won't pay off for a few years. And so many people give up before the reward happens. And so that leaves room for people like you and me, right? Where we're more forward thinking, and we say, well, I'm going to be putting in my numbers now and my inputs now, knowing that it might kind of, it will pay off later after many other people have given up. So as far as there's so many things we could be doing right or could be doing wrong, but what do you think that you personally, Mr. Robert Glazer, do better than others, where others kind of fail at this, you're really good at this strategy or this technique, or what's your superpower?
The strategy is implies that you need to constantly be finding new partners, right? They're the innovative ones. They're the ones that figure out the new Snapchat or the this, or that the hot markets in Israel or whatever. So I as part of what we offer to clients and what we do is just a huge commitment to recruiting. In fact, most programs, when we talk to them, it's the equivalent of the sales team picking up the phone when anyone calls and not calling anyone, and so I always say it's not rocket science. But we also just acquired a company called Grovio, which is actually in the space of discovering a tool to help you discover new partners. So we are constantly out there with a team who's new, different, interesting, that can partner with our brands. And that's why the program is not a single source of traffic, right? The program is like a basket of stocks. And we're always trying to rotate in new sectors and new pieces that, we think are going to do well.
So Grovio, tell me about it. What should we know?
Yeah, so Grovio is a tool that lets companies find influencers, publishers, partners, based on, what keyword searches, what competitors are doing, who are the people out there that have the influence of the audience that you're looking for. And it sort of forms the basis then of you reaching out to partner with them. So we're really, we've always used a bunch of tools to help our clients. This was one of the leading ones. We saw a lot of people bringing it in-house, agencies using it, and we decided we really wanted that, to use on behalf of our clients. So we closed that acquisition a few weeks ago, and we're sort of rapidly integrating the team and expanding our the plans for the product there.
Well, fun. Well, have there been any challenges or like kind of interesting like roadblocks or wrinkles along the way in making this happen?
I mean, tons. Global pandemic, other things. So, in our world, it's watching those shifts. Like, obviously, like now we're seeing, demand shift from, the COVID trade, stay at home fitness, redo your house, car segment to traveling, getting out, makeup, dresses, the sort of reopening trade. So that changes like which clients, have more budget to spend, and also changes which partners are going to become more interesting. And so, that's the name of the game for us, is always sort of trying to figure out how to match up supply and demand.
And is there a method to the madness? Because I mean, as you know, there's all these prospecting tools. There's all these ways to like build your lead list. But then there's one aspect of like setting these fields and doing these kind of custom searches versus, well, what's kind of the bigger picture, or like what problem am I trying to solve? So how do you make sense of all that? Because it seems like you can easily stare at like this search box or look at these people and say, where do I start?
There's some right brain and left brain things. And I think this is the advantage of an agency who has specialists, right? Versus thinking about like a really good program needs like straight up recruiting skills that look like sales. Then it needs kind of onboarding and activation that looks like CRM. Then it needs creative campaign development, talent on how you communicate and tell your partners what's going on and what's interesting. And then it needs fraud and analytics to look for trends and things that are worrisome. And those aren't usually all the same person, right? They tend to be different people. So I think our ability to build teams that partner on programs that specialize in that it gives a little more opportunity to companies than sort of in-house. It's hard to get talent in-house. It's hard to get someone who knows all those things, who knows all the different platforms that are out there.
Yeah. You hear about the who, not the how, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, cool. So what is on the horizon? Like what's happening in the future? What are you excited about now that we're maybe post-pandemic? What's post-pandemic?
Yeah, I mean, particularly, I think, with what seems like some sort of recession or slowdown looming up, we just think that everyone comes back to looking at what works, not what's trendy. And every time people do that, they tend to come back to this channel, and it's they don't cut it. And they say, look, if times are bad, and I say, look, I can, Robert, like I can continue to give you a sale where you pay for the marketing 10% after you get the sale. Why are you going to cut your budget on that? You're going to cut your budget on the stuff that's riskier, more top of funnel, can't prove that it works. So we tend to, our industry tends to get a little religion every time things are difficult. When there's not easy money, when they're not pouring it in a hot new channel and following what their friends are doing, they kind of come back to what's tried and true, what's worked. And we've done well during those markets.
Well, cool. And so what I'm getting a lot out of this conversation is that there's so much chaos, right? There's so many factors out there. There's so many things that are happening now that could happen. And what I'm getting from you is that like different strategies or different buckets are required depending on what problems we're trying to solve. Like you said, there's kind of like an onboarding component there. There's like a fraud and analytics component on there, and like just so much to think about and so much to get our heads wrapped around. And so to help us kind of absorb some of these ideas and understand why we need you and your agency, can you tell us about your company and why you're different, and maybe about this book, if it fits, if there's a way to fit that in too?
Sure. Yeah. Look, Moving Outcomes is not quick cover here. It's sort of the give you an overview about where partnerships have been, where they're going, and why I think it'll be more of a people's marketing portfolio going forward. We're the largest independent affiliate agency in the world. We work with tons of different software platforms. So, we support in-house teams, or we help companies who want to launch these programs, audit them, think about them. One of our other things is we are truly global. And as people launch, we have employees in 7 different countries and have worked with some of the largest global platforms. So as companies grow quickly and expand in different markets, we can support them in those markets on the platforms that they want to work with, that do a lot of the tracking and measuring and paying to build their program. So that's part of our value proposition, is really being the only true global agency in the space.
Well, you've accomplished quite a bit, and to giving us an idea of what kind of organization we want to reach out to you. But what's like your dream organization? Who would you love to work with? That's like such a long shot that you haven't been able to get yet? Is there anyone on the wish list?
It's usually driven by products that people, I think we have a channel, products that people love at our company that they want to work with them. I think Lululemon's one that's been on the radar for a while, but we work with a lot of fast growing funded brands and large kind of global multinational companies. So we're usually talking to a lot of those folks, but I'd have to look. It's usually driven by our employees who really again, because we're helping to represent that and get partners excited about it. And if they're excited about the product, then they feel like it'll be easier to get partners excited about it.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. So if there is a funded, growing global company out there who's watching or listening to this podcast, where do they go? What do they do? How do they find your website? How do they contact you?
They can just go to accelerationpartners.com or Google it. It's easier than spelling it, Acceleration Partners. We have tons of free content around ideas for your program, how to get started, 101 platforms, all that stuff. Our resource center is just filled with a ton of absolutely free content. So if you're trying to learn more, that's also a great place to start.
Fantastic. Well, Acceleration Partners. And as we're wrapping up, winding down this conversation here, Robert, do you have a number one secret to success? Or is there something that you wish you'd known 10 years ago? Anything profound and huge and massive come to mind?
To me, it's a little bit the Stephen Covey, start with the end in mind. I find that the people who think about where they want to go, make a plan, align their strategy to that, say no to the things that don't fall in line with that, more often than not, they get to where they want to go. But if you don't know where you're going, you don't know why you're making decisions, then, the boat tends to sort of float all over the place. So I've considered people, if you've met the type of people who have 5-year plans and goals for their company and their organization, all that stuff, they tend to get there more often than not.
And I love that. It sounds like basic advice, but most people, I guarantee, it's easier said than done. And so many people don't even have simple goals like this. Most people are directionless, rudderless, and we want to avoid that. And if you're the right fit for what Robert was saying, then go to accelerationpartners.com, Google it, find his website, check out his book, and that way you can set that goal and be where you want to be on track to be. So Acceleration Partners is the place to go. And thank you, Robert, for stopping by and blowing our minds and giving us some really good advice here.
Thank you, Robert.